Hi, welcome to Crafted Sweetly. I'm Diana. Thanks so much for being here. In this video, I wanted to show you how to create a slightly different design when you're doing a front and top design. So for the front, it's the usual traditional way that you may have seen, where whether it's just the front or front and top, where it's straight on. We're going to do something different with the top. So the top one, instead of just being the strips going back, within 2 to 3, probably about 3 centimeters from the spine, the top is going to be dimensional. So I've created the patterns with photobookartcom, and I now have subscription options. So if you go to photobookartcom, you can either purchase single patterns or go in and sign up for a monthly subscription where you can create as many patterns as you would like. I created the pattern, and this is the ink saver version, which means it just prints the pattern down the middle of the strip. It does not compromise the quality of the image at all, as far as being cheap on ink, meaning ink saver, where it doesn't use as much ink. It doesn't use as much ink because it only prints it down the middle of the strip and not covering the entire strip. So I have the pattern all printed out for the front, and then I also printed out the pattern for the top. Now the top is shorter, obviously, because we're doing just the short part of the book. And then if you're creating patterns for the top, something to note is this is where you would be cutting. So the horizontal line is down here, but you're cutting along the pattern to trim here. If the pattern has white, then I do have notes in my Etsy listings that you actually use the end of the thickest line here as far as the stopping point. So this could be white here. You're going to go by this where you're cutting. And you'll also see that it actually has strips of or lines of gray where you should stop. But if you have any questions, feel free to message me. I'm happy to answer any questions about the creating patterns if you have them when you're using photobookartcom. So this is this part. Now I'm gonna trim like from each side of it, because what I like to do is work on each page doing the front and the top. Now you may have seen doing the front, all the fronts, and then going back and doing all the tops. And that's totally personal preference what you like to do. I like to just do each. I started cutting the strips, and this is the first page of the front, and then this would be the top. So I'm just gonna take off the sides, all the sides from all the like the top, the side, and the bottom. So I'm pretty much taking off all the borders. And for the bottom, I'm cutting right along the pattern here. If you have white area on the bottom, then basically you're cutting at the end of the lines. There are gray lines that get left behind when there's white. So that's the place. If you have questions, certainly comment below, and I'm happy to help explain where you need to cut with the top part of the strip. So this is what I have here. And then for cutting these, love my Caterpillar crop here, and I'm just going to cut this back and forth. Now if you're looking to purchase any Caterpillar products, I do have a 15% off coupon. You just enter SWEET15 when you check out on their website, and you get 15% off. So I'm cutting off now because I like to let me take this skinny part off because that's gonna be harder. Right there. And then back to this. So I've cut out the top part. I like to work on each page at a time. So I have my strips for each one. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold these in half like this and press it down. I'm not using a bone folder, so that's my top strip. Set these down here, and then I'll do the same, just a couple strips from the other part, from the front. I have done a video on doing a panoramic book, which covers the front, the bottom, and the top. So that's a little different in terms of like additional strips you have to apply. Now for this, the number was at the top. I mean, it's at the top and at the bottom, but this goes against the spine. So when you're looking at your pattern like this, this is the part that's against the spine for the top of the books. So that's how you're gonna apply that. Okay, so I have my 2 strips for here, for the front. So now I'm gonna bring up my tools here to show you the design. Okay, so I have the book here, and now I'm going to use, there are a couple things that I do use for this book. I am using my diagonal guide. I have an embossing tool, I need little scissors, and my tape. So I've done some of the pages here, and what I'm doing is, what I need to do is, I'm going to, before I apply anything, I want to score the book. So my diagonal guide has a little lip here on the edge, and that hooks up against the top of the book. Just like if you're using my guides, they hook up on the side here, so it doesn't go anywhere. Now I'm turning this guide around and using this as the top, and I push it in all the way into the spine, and then I'm going to, you can choose whichever one you want. This is the line that I've decided on. You could go against this slat here, or here. But for this particular project, I am using this as my guide. So I'm pressing down here, making sure this is against the edge of the book, and just drawing a score line right there. So probably a little hard to see, but I have a score line right there on the page. You can do this for a couple of pages, you know, you can do the entire book actually before you do anything else. So that's definitely an option. I have 2 strips, so that's what I'll do here. And now I'm applying the strips. But before I do that, sorry, one more thing to do is these are gonna need to be cut. So this is the first strip that I'm applying, and I want to cut this at a 45-degree angle, roughly. I mean, if you're off, you know, a little bit, that's fine. But I'm cutting both strips, this strip this way, and then this strip gets cut this way at 45, because they're going to meet right in the corner. So this I've pressed down, and what I'm trying to do is I'm creating this angle on this strip. So right from the corner, I'm taking that off, and then these will meet right there. Okay? So now my tape at the top and at the bottom. I always say it the other way. This is the top, that's the bottom. The book is upside down. So strip goes here. I use the tip here. I press it until I can't press it anymore, which means I've reached, it's right at the top of the page. And then make sure your strip is against the page itself. Push it in, press down, and go down and do that at the bottom too. So now I have my strip here. Same thing applies here. Now, because I'm doing this dimensional, I'm not going to apply tape here and at the end of the strip. I colored this gray here so that I can, because there was some white in the pattern. So when looking at this, there's some white right there in the pattern. If you can see it, like right there, there's some white. So if the background had been white, I think I would have had a hard time figuring out where to cut right there. So I changed the background there to gray. I mean, it could be anything but what's in the picture, basically. So you could have changed this to red, you could have changed this to orange, pink. Pink, I guess not, because you have some pink there. But I did gray because I didn't want to use too much ink in here in my pattern. So that's why that's that color as the background. But I'm applying tape at the top of it because that's definitely getting attached, and at right up to there. So that's where the next tape goes. Okay, so not all the way to the back. Now I apply the strip, and I apply my top strip while the book is flat down. I don't do it standing up, but I know some people do, and it works. If it works for you, try it out both ways, see what's easiest for you. I just find that having it flat on the table works perfectly fine for me. Okay, so now what I need to do is I'm going to cut right where the pattern ends, which is actually a green line right there. I'll try and zoom in so that you can see it. I do have a light that I now have attached to my book folding stand. It's from Caterpillar. It's a Caterpillar flex light, and I love that it can just move it whatever. So I can't really turn it on because then you're not going to be able to see anything. But my line is right there. I'll push this out of the way since I can't use it while I'm filming. And then I'm going to cut right straight into the book up to my score line. So my score line is right there, which I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to see it, but I'm only going into the depth as far as cutting just where the score line ends. That's as far as I'm going. Now this is going to drop off because I only went with the tape up to where my design is, and then this is cut now, so it's a little tab. And right along the score line is where I'm going to fold this back. Okay, that's as much as this is. Now earlier in the book I had this went farther this way because it was just a little bit of the pattern that was on the edge. So that's all that's happening there. Now let me do one more. Same thing, you know, kind of trimming this at 45 degrees. I'm creating a frame basically with this. Whoops, that's not what I want. I want this one. That was the leftover. Okay. And so although I can't use the flex light when I'm filming, it really is super handy when I'm working on projects and I have to be able to see better where things, you know, stop and that kind of thing. And when I'm applying this, it's same thing. You want to be until it stops right in the corner, press it down, and you want to be against the page. And again, I went just up to where my score line was. The extra comes off, and then this, you know, you can see now the score line because that's easy to fold right along that line that I created with my guide. And just give it a nice press there so that it stays flat. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do, continue doing with the book. I'll check in, you know, sort of as usual, maybe halfway or more into the book and show you where things stand. But I'm following the pattern around here. So I'm going basically around this pattern, and what's gray is what gets folded into the book. So I've done, I think, I'm like right about here because I hit some of these green lines in here. So those are some of the green spaces. So I'm just barely at the beginning there with the first couple pages. But I'll show you what it looks like so far so that you can see the design. So there's the fold right there against the top of the book. You can see the pages that are folded back and then the contour or the dimensional look to the top of it. Okay, and then the front is that. But I think this is going to turn out really pretty with the design going up farther in and then coming right back down for this side, because that's what this is going to do. It's going up and then coming right back down. Okay, so I'll carry on and then come back with mid-project report. I'm about 3/4 of the way finished with the design, so I wanted to show you the progress. And there's the front, which is a beautiful flower design. I really love how this is turning out. And then for the exciting part, for the top, it's dimensional. So it follows kind of the pattern from the top this way. And then up here is where the image is the dimensional by folding it back. So I'm just following the pattern to continue to cut around the design that I have here. And this is going to continue a little larger, like probably pretty close to the edge, and then coming back down. Right there, and everything is nice and tight. So loving the way it's turning out so far, and can't wait to finish this design and show you the finished book. But as the book gets closer here, it's less and less that's getting folded in. So you could do a design that's closer this way as far as the contouring or as far as the dimensional part, and then you'll see more of this, but I wanted as much of the top as part of the design with the image, but still give it that dimensional look because I'm folding this down. So I'll show you once I'm done with the book, and all finished with the book, and excited to share with you the finished design. This is the front, which is absolutely gorgeous in itself, and then you add in the dimensional top, which shapes, you know, contours around the top of the design here. So just really, really gorgeous where it's not just a straight line. And then for the top right here, I could always add just a little bling or some kind of just gems, just to kind of give it a little bit of bling, because bling always helps something. So I'm just gonna add that right there. Let's see if I can get one more in. Right there. I'm gonna swap this one out. It's a little smaller than the rest of them, the other two. So right there. I'll probably add a little more glue to it, but that's all that needed right there. And then I've got the design, the dimensional look to it. So that's another way you can finish off the top, with adding the photo strips instead of just a straight line. Contour it around your design. Hope this video was inspiring and gives you some other ideas about how to finish off the top. If you do something like this, or do the designs that have the top shaped around your image, please post them in my Facebook group. I would love to see them. And you know, like I said, this pattern was made using photobookartcom. Sign up for a monthly subscription and create as many designs as you would like. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next fun project. Be sure to subscribe.